Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to get started here in just about 1 minute to allow for other attendees to hop on. Thanks so much for your patience. We'll get started in about a minute. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining Glassdoor's Employer Center walkthrough. Our goal with today's webinar is to make sure you all feel as comfortable as possible navigating the Employer Center, which can be thought of as your control center for all things Glassdoor. My name is Christy, and I am on the Glassdoor support team. Before we get started, we want to walk you through the outline for today's call. In terms of today's agenda, we're going to spend the majority of our time on our site doing a live demonstration. We'll start first on the candidate-facing enhanced profile to introduce you to various features you have access to, followed by jumping into the Employer Center to give you a walkthrough of how to navigate the Employer Center and some key areas that we recommend you check out. Now, although we won't have time to do a deep dive walkthrough, we'll navigate you through the areas most relevant for folks like you who manage your company's Glassdoor presence. We'll then be reserving the final 5 to 10 minutes at the end to address your questions, where we're going to lean on a member of our team to help us out with Q&A. Now, you'll notice there is a Q&A button in Zoom. That's the platform that we're all viewing this webinar in today. So as we're walking through this, you can ask your questions privately using that Q&A feature, and our webinar team will help address them during the webinar and at the end. So what's the Glassdoor Employer Center? We like to think of it as your command center for all things Glassdoor. This is where you update your company branding, you view, respond to, and request reviews, and also access analytics related to your reviews, candidates, and profile visits. Now, before we jump into the back end of the Employer Center, we're going to walk through the candidate-facing profile for you to understand all the features that you have the ability to update. So we're going to go ahead and hop over to the live demonstration now. So you'll notice that this is a company called ATJ. Now, just something to note that ATJ is not a real company. It's actually a fictional company that's been created for Glassdoor marketing and training purposes. So this is the profile that we will be using today. Feel free to walk through on your own profile if you'd like to log in right now and just kind of follow along. But let's go ahead and get started. So this is the public-facing side of the profile. So some of the features to point out is that at the very top of the page, you're going to see the cover image or cover photo. There's also a play button over the top of that. And what that is the cover video. So if you hit play, that actually is a featured video or cover video that will actually keep the candidate on the Glassdoor platform. It doesn't redirect them outside. That's at the very top of the page. We scroll down a little bit to the bottom, you're going to see the overview. This is where your basic company information is. Over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see this is where all of your social media icons are, as well as your Facebook and Twitter feeds, and also your company videos. If you have featured divisions, you'll have those here, followed by the company updates right there in the center of the screen. But keep scrolling down just a little bit longer. In the middle of the page is the Why Work With Us section. This is that section where you can build up to 5 individual unique tabs. We'll go over that here in just a moment. We'll also see some fishbowl conversations happening here and some polls. And then down below there, you'll see that's where you have your CEO information, your featured review, your diversity and inclusion section, your photo album, interviews, and then some awards, pledges, and certifications. So we'll go ahead and scroll back up to the top. If you want to sign in and follow along, if you want to go to the Employer Center and you're already signed in, you can hover over Admin Tools, go to Employer Center. Or if you've already logged in to your account and gone to the Employer Center, this is where it's going to land you. This is your home page of the Employer Center or dashboard, if you will. So it's worth mentioning that there may be some slight variations in how each of your employer centers look. This is dependent on which enhanced profile package your company purchased with Glassdoor. If you have any questions regarding your enhanced profile package, please reach out to your dedicated account manager. Our goal today is to keep this walkthrough fairly high level and applicable to the masses, regardless of which version of the profile that you've purchased. So the employer profile tab is where you make nearly all edits and updates to the public facing profile. So we're going to go ahead and start here. This is where the bulk of everything is going to be that has to do with your branding. Now you'll notice when you first click on the tile, you're going to have all of these sections at the top. Some have drop down menus. Let's go ahead and start with company info details. So this is the page where you do all that basic info. You fill out, your headquarters, your founded, your revenue. You want to make sure that this is filled out. You're checking it at least twice a year in case there have been any updates. Down here is where you can edit the CEO information as well as company locations if you have multiple office locations. Now, one thing I did want to note on this page in particular is that for your CEO, you actually cannot edit or change it on your own. That actually has to be verified via our content team. They have to do verifications for that information. So if you get a new CEO or you want to change out the photo, please send an email to content@glassdoor.com and they will get that updated for you within 24 to 48 hours. Um, it's important to note that there's actually only two items in the employer center that you actually cannot change on your profile, and that is the CEO, and that is also your company name. So if you go through a rebrand or a company name change, also send an email to content@glassdoor.com because then not only do they have to change the company name after they verify it, they also have to change the URL at the top of the page to reflect that new name. And again, content@glassdoor.com, they'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. So let's go ahead and scroll back up to the top. And now we're going to go to logo and photos. So this is where you can actually update your cover photo. So that's that horizontal photo that lies at the very top. Now you will not be able to update the actual cover video here. That is actually in the next section that we're going to be going to here in just a moment. But that actual cover photo, that horizontal image, you actually edit that here. So you can click on those three little black dots in the lower right-hand corner and you can hit edit or delete. And now if you scroll down a little bit further, this is your photo album. So this is where you can add and remove photos for your photo album. Anything that you want it to be, get creative. We recommend adding at least 10 per year, but there is no min or max. And you can also reorder those as well. Now, if you want to view community contributed photos, that's a different section. Those are the photos that were not uploaded by your company. They were uploaded by other Glassdoor users. If for any reason you ever see any community contributed photos that you think don't really shed a good light on your company, you can always flag them or send an email to our content team, again, content@glassdoor.com, and send them a link to the photo or describe it or flag it and let them know that you'd really like that removed, and they'll get back to you within 1 to 2 business days. But because it is community contributed content, you as the employer cannot actually remove those photos. It has to be done by our content team. So let's go ahead and move on to the next section. This is awards. It's really self-explanatory. You can, um, you know, add all of your awards here, and then we give you the ability to select up to 5 featured awards that you want to display most prominently. There's also a little trash can icon over here if you want to remove one. And then let's go to social media and video next. Now, this is, a really important section. So you definitely want to spend some time filling all of these sections out. So at the very top, you'll notice number 1 is the featured video. That corresponds with this sample social module over here. So that's that video that's on the very top of the page that overlies the cover image. Next are going to be your social media badges. So that's over here on number 2 over here on the right hand side. You can add your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, your YouTube channel, or your Instagram. And then next is your social media feeds. So you can add Facebook or Twitter. You can show one on the left, one on the right. If you want to show Twitter on the left, you can certainly click this little radio button to switch it over. One thing to note about your Facebook feed, it will not show up. It'll give an error message or say it can't be found unless your Facebook profile is set to public. And what I mean by that is that someone who doesn't have a Facebook account should be able to still view your company's Facebook page without having to create an account, being prompted to create one with a login and password. It should be set to public. Now, if you need help with those settings, I know that Facebook has a help center on their website with an article about this. And if you need help, you can always just reach out to support and we can certainly help you get a link to that article. And we'll talk about how to reach out to support later on as well. And then down here at the bottom is the video module section. So we give you the ability to actually input your YouTube channel and it will filter through all of your videos, or you can just select individual videos, up to 5 YouTube or Vimeo hosted videos. Now, once you've made any changes on this page, please click save. And one thing to note as a pro tip is that, I know it's you know you want to immediately go to your profile and see how everything looks and make sure it looks pretty and everything's correct. But if you do that, as soon as you hit save, you're probably going to get an error message or a page not found message. That is completely expected behavior and totally normal, so don't panic. Basically what's happening is our site needs to index all those large amounts of data. So give it about 10 minutes or so before you actually go to the front end of the page to make sure that all your videos are loading correctly. If you still don't see the videos loaded after 10 minutes, which is rare, go into an incognito window or clear your cache and cookies and relaunch your browser, or just go into a completely different browser altogether and you will see your videos uploaded there. Just a pro tip to note. So let's go ahead and move on over to company story. That's the second tab over to the right, and we're going to select details from the first drop-down option. So you'll notice this is the why work with us section. So this is what I like to refer to as, like your meat and potatoes of the Glassdoor profile. So we all know that candidates are coming to Glassdoor to do research on your company. And this is your opportunity to really showcase what makes your company a great place to work, what you can offer. Now, we won't do a deep dive on this section, but if you are interested, we do have a different webinar called Enhanced Profile Best Practices, where we do a little bit of a deeper dive into updating this section. And we also actually host a Why Work With Us workshop that's more interactive, where you can speak to a member of our team and we walk through this section and build out a tab with you and kind of give you some recommendations for items that you can put there. But for today's purposes, we're just going to do a high level overview. So the Why Work With Us section, you can build up to 5 tabs. That can be anything you want. You can change them out as often as you want. We have some templates that we've already pre-built out here that you can select from. So if you want to do text only, text plus 1 image or video, or text plus 2 images or videos. And you basically just upload your image or video, add some text, and then upload the second image or video if you have selected this text plus 2 image or video. Again, if you're adding video, once you hit save, please allow our site a good 10 minutes or so to index to get the video data all caught up with before it shows up correctly. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, this is your About Your Company section and your company mission statement. So these items actually lie at the top of the page where the basic info is. So you want to make sure that this is filled out and that it's accurate and you're checking it, at least twice a year in case you need to make any changes, because it's one of the first things that job seekers are going to see at the top of your page. So we'll move on over to diversity and inclusion. So this is a newer section. It was requested last year and we listened and we built it out and we're really excited about it. This is just where you can show job seekers how you're investing in diversity and inclusion programs and initiatives and what you're doing to advocate for a diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplace. So you can go ahead and, type in any kind of summary here that you'd like to, and then you can add media as well, photo or video. Very self-explanatory. We're going to go ahead and hop on over to company profiles. I'm going to skip over company structure because if you don't have nested profiles or company divisions, you won't really need to worry about this. And it's also very self-explanatory if you have purchased that. But let's skip on over to competitor profiles. So depending on the level of package that you have purchased, you're going to have either 5 or 10 tabs here or slots that you can fill out with your competitors whose talent you'd like to target. So your brand and open positions will be seen on these companies' profiles and their other companies to explore panel on the right-hand side of their profile. One thing to note, you cannot target another Glassdoor client. If you try to, I'll show you an example, like Meta or Facebook, as some of you may know it. Meta is a client, so if I try to type it in, I'm going to get this red error message saying they cannot be targeted, try another company. So I would go in, delete it, add a different company. If I don't get that message, clearly I can go ahead and target them. It's really a good practice to come in here regularly, at least every 6 months or so, and check this to make sure that that particular company hasn't become a client, which is very possible. You can start to target them and they're not a client, and then a few months later on down the road, they are a client, and you come in here and you see this message and you see that you haven't been getting any impacts or impressions per month from that company's profile. So just something to be aware of and to stay on top of. Now, the next section over to the right is company updates. So this is where you can create a company update with any kind of news or update that you want to. So basically, if there's been a great article written about your company, or you want to highlight, a letter from the CEO, or you want to highlight some employees, or showcase, what you're doing for COVID-19 or for volunteer work, anything and everything. There are no rules here. Basically, this is, your ability to get creative and put whatever you'd like to. So it's really self-explanatory. You select which profile, or all profiles that you want to put this company update on. You select your audience. You can assign a category. So again, we actually already have some pre-built categories in here. One like hiring or events, if you're having like a hiring fair, career fair, if you want to talk about product news, anything and everything is going to be in here, and then you can enter your message, and then if you want to add a link, you can go ahead and add a link right here. And then one thing to note is when you do add a link, let's say there was an article about your company, what our site does is it will actually pull an image from that third-party website. So it'll actually pull the first image that it can find. If you don't like that image, you don't want to use it, or maybe it has nothing to do with your company, you actually have the ability to go in here and upload an additional image. So it'll actually replace that image that is being pulled automatically. So that is definitely one thing you can do. You've got your recommendations for image size right here. You can preview it and then you can post it. And then once you post it, that immediately gets sent out via email to all of your followers, and then also gets posted on your actual Glassdoor profile. So we definitely recommend at least doing a company update once per month. You can do more if you'd like. There is no rule to that, but it is really great to do to keep your followers engaged and to drive more traffic to your profile. So next, we're going to move on over to the benefits section. So we'll go over to details. So this is where you can write out a benefit summary. You can also add photo or video, any kind of media that you'd wish to. And then there's a very long, extensive list here of little check marks that you can, or little boxes that you can check mark. Feel free to go through this list and check off every benefit that you offer. You can also add a description if you want. That is optional. And then once you've taken the time to go through this entire list, go ahead and hit Save Changes. That should update immediately on your profile. And then the second little drop down that we have down here is work from home. So this is a section that we created last year at the beginning of the pandemic, when everybody started working remotely and working from home. Now that is something that is, really growing in popularity amongst job seekers. And so if you do allow that, we definitely want you to go ahead and fill this section out. You can also go down here and talk about programs and initiatives. So if you have like a really generous maternity or paternity leave program, you can add that here as well. Anything that you want, there's a limit of 10. So that's everything as far as the branding goes within the employer profile tab. So we're going to go ahead and jump on over to the community reviews tab. So you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, there is a pane that if I hover my mouse over it, I get all the same tiles that were on that first dashboard in the very beginning. So if you were to go to home, that would take you to the dashboard where you have all the tiles, but you can also easily navigate via here to the same tiles. So I'm going to click on community reviews. So this is where you can actually read through all of your employee reviews and interview reviews, and you can respond to those reviews as well. So you'll notice that you will have a response box at the bottom of every review that has not been responded to yet. You can go ahead and write your response, add your comment, and that will automatically be posted to the public facing side of your profile. There are a couple other things that you can do in here. You can also feature a review and you can flag a review. So featuring a review is where it actually pins that review to the top of your page. And it will say featured review right here, as you can see this little tag, so you know you've already featured it. If you find a different one that you want to feature, just go ahead and unfeature this one by clicking on that tab. And then you could, refeature a different review. One thing to note, you have to feature a review or interview review that was left within the last 12 months. Do keep an eye on this pretty regularly because they will automatically drop off after 1 year from the date they were posted. And you want to make sure that you always have a featured review and interview review because that is part of your enhanced profile package. And it's that first review that candidates are going to see when they're on your profile. So you want to make sure that it stands out. You can also go through here and you can feature and unfeature as many times as you want all kinds of different reviews. So no rules to that. Now also notice that there is a little flag in the lower right corner. If you find that there is a review that you feel is inappropriate or it violates one of our community guidelines, the best course of action is to click that flag, and then you're going to get a pop-up box that's going to allow you to type in the reason or select the reason from a list of why you want that review remoderated or taken down. Once you submit that, our content team gets a case and they will remoderate that review and reach back to you within 1 to 2 business days, letting you know what they are able to do about that. Now, we do have an entire community guidelines section in our help center, which we'll cover here in a little bit. I'll show you how to view it. But anything that is review related must go through our content team. And again, just flag that review. If you need to follow up for any reason, you can email content@glassdoor.com. The interviews reviews page looks almost identical. You'll have a response box, featured button, and a little flag on each of those as well. So we definitely recommend featuring an interview review as well. They're just as important. And then you can also go to request more reviews. This is that third section over here at the top. So this is a really cool section because this is where you can invite employees and recent interviewees to provide feedback about your company. So you have the option to either send out a customized email or a shareable link. So if you use the customized email, we actually already have pre-built templates in here that you're free to use, or you can just freehand your own message. What you can do is you can select your review type. So you can do employee reviews or interview reviews. We definitely recommend going back and doing both just to get fresh sets of reviews and interview reviews. If you have a mass distro list, like an Excel file or CSV, we allow you to upload that file here and it'll send a mass email out to everybody on that list. Again, you can use one of our templates. And then after you hit send, what's really neat about this section is that you'll see a campaign history. So it'll give you the date that you actually sent out that mass email, and you can see who sent it out, what they requested, and then after the reviews start coming in, you'll get a number of how many were approved that actually got posted to your profile. Now, while you'll never see the email address or the name of the person that left the review, we do protect their anonymity. You will still actually just see the numbers, which is still a really good gauge to see how well that campaign performed. Now, if you don't want to do a customized email, you'd rather do a shareable link, that's totally fine too. So if you want to, generate a link for reviews or interview reviews and send it out via an internal company email, a newsletter, if you have a messaging platform such as Slack or Microsoft Teams that your company uses, definitely go ahead and generate that link and send that out to everyone. And then you'll see your campaign history down here again as well. So that's the review section. Now we're going to hop on over to The analytics section. Now, we're not going to do a deep dive on analytics because there is so much information to cover in here. But just what I wanted to point out is that there's some great information in here that you can look at. This is where you find reporting on user activity as well as insights focused on your employer branding. You can look at rating trends, ratings by location, competitor comparisons, employer profile activity. You can look at your candidate demographics and also company update analytics. Now, it is important to note that all has to do with just your Glassdoor profile. It does not have anything to do with jobs. So if you're looking for analytics on jobs, you actually must go through Indeed. So you want to contact your Indeed rep or go over to your Indeed platform. One thing to note is if you have purchased the Select Branding Bundle, you will also have access to your Indeed analytics in here as well. Now, one thing to note, we actually do a deep dive on analytics in a different webinar. So there is an advanced analytics webinar that you can register for where we actually do go through all of these tabs and look at all the different reporting options that you can do. So we definitely recommend that you sign up for that if you want to do a deep dive into this. I will show you here in just a few moments how to register for different webinars. So we're going to go ahead and hop on over to Employer Tools. So Employer Tools is mostly about the open company status and how to maintain that status and keep your open company badge. So you'll notice that there are some requirements here. You'll see 5 different sections, and when you satisfy each requirement that's listed here, you'll see that the circle will complete with a check mark. Now, what is this exactly, you may be asking? Well, if all of these requirements are satisfied, you actually get a badge posted to the top of your Glassdoor profile that says open company status. And in order to maintain that every year, all of these items must be completed. So you have to make sure that you're regularly updating your profile, you're adding 10 photos per year, you're getting at least 30 reviews from your employees per year, that you're responding to at least 5 reviews per year, and that you're placing a link on your website or your social media site to your Glassdoor company profile. Now, I want to show you where you go to get those badges to actually place on your own personal website or social media site. Now, one thing to note that these badges are completely separate from the open company badge. So once you've satisfied all those requirements on that open company, you'll get your open company badge within 24 hours. These badges are badges that you can actually stick on your website or your social media. So let's say you like this one, let's pick that one. We're going to select our proper language. We're going to select the domain. We'll just do US here. Basically what you would do is you would take this code and you would copy and paste it into your website or your social media page. And then just let us know in step 4 where you've installed that badge, because that is the final step to getting your open company badge that's actually placed on your Glassdoor profile. So let's go ahead and there's a couple other tabs that I want to show you and a couple other little things within the Employer Center that are really, really important to note. Now, your company may have purchased multiple LEPs or localized enhanced profiles. So if you do have different domains, you can click this downward caret at the top and you're going to see all the different countries that you may have purchased. If you want to edit that particular domain, you just click on it. It will switch over to your company's profile on that domain. The Employer Center looks the exact same. Everything is uniform across the board. Just make sure you're, editing, which country you're editing, and you can toggle back and forth between them. If you have access to multiple companies, let's say you're an administrator to several different companies, over here, this drop down caret over here if you drop down or click on that, it's going to show you every single company that you have access to as well. And again, if you want to switch companies, you can click on that company, and again, it'll switch you over to that company's dashboard. So what's really great is that you don't have to have a separate login to manage all these different company profiles. You actually can just log in with one email and toggle between different companies and different localized enhanced profile domains. So let's go ahead and click on settings down here at the bottom. So settings is really important because this is where you can manage your email preferences and your users. So we're actually just going to go through these first two tabs in the settings. So this is where you can change your email address if you need to, and you can also edit your company alerts. So you can actually change the frequency and the content type in which you receive emails. So if you want to get everything as it happens, you get an email for anytime anything happened, you could click as it happens all. If you just wanted to get it, weekly, you could definitely do that and switch the content types there. Automatically, you are defaulted to yes on these two radio buttons. So you will get a monthly report on your profile activity, as well as getting a monthly email from Glassdoor about news. If you don't want these, just click no, and then just make sure after you've made any changes, you hit save. Now, next is manage users. So if you are an administrator to your company's profile, you're going to have access to this page. If you're not an administrator, you won't even see this tab. But this is where you can add, edit, and remove other users from the Employer Center. So if you want to invite some coworkers, you can actually just put their email address in this box. Select if you want to make them administrator or content manager or analytics only. And then once you hit send invite, that sends them an email. They do have 24 hours to click on the link to accept that access and create their account. And then once logged in, they'll have access to the Employer Center to make any changes or to view anything that you want them to. Let's go back to that tab. And also another thing to note is if you need to change or remove somebody's access, you click on the three black dots that are just to the right of their name. If you hit view details, it actually shows you what access they have. If you want to change their access to something else, you would just change it, hit save changes. And that would, that would change them from say like an admin to a content manager or, vice versa. And then let me go back. Sorry, let's go back here. And then also if you want to remove somebody, let's say somebody has left the company, you simply just come and hit the remove button and they will automatically be deleted from the Employer Center and won't have access any longer. So you will see a couple other tabs. You may or may not, depending on the level of service that you have purchased or the package that you've purchased. One thing to note, the jobs tab, if you do see that, it is actually being phased out and it is no longer a functioning tab because all of our jobs are now powered and managed by Indeed. So you definitely want to go over to Indeed if you want to manage your jobs. Again, this tab will be going away in the very near future. So we don't even recommend clicking on it because it really doesn't even work. Now, one pro tip, after you've made all your changes to your branding on your profile, or you've left, changes on the reviews tile. If you want to look at the public facing side of your profile, there's actually two ways that you can do this. You can actually click on the logo up here in the upper left corner, and that will automatically take you to the front end so you can view everything. And there's also a little sideways caret that says view as job seeker. It does the exact same thing. So you have those two places if you ever want an easy way to just go to the front end of your profile to see all the changes that you've made. Now, I know that's a lot of content, and we did it in a short amount of time, but you also have some online resources and other ways to reach out to us if you ever need help or you get stuck on something. So let's go ahead and I want to show you the Help Center. So up here is our Help Center. If you click on Help, it's at the top of every page up here in the upper right corner. If you click on Employer Center, that will take you to this new robust help center that we just revamped. You can type in a number of topics here. Again, earlier I had talked about webinars. I could type in webinars and would pull up a list of all the webinars that we have. We also have some titles down here of the most common topics that are searched for. Again, here's webinars. So I'm actually going to click on that because I want to show you all the different webinars that we have because I had mentioned a few webinars and workshops during this webinar today. So if you want to look at the Glassdoor analytics, that's where we do the deep dive. We have other ones on enhanced profiles, responding to reviews like a pro webinar. There's all kinds of them, and a lot of these can be watched on demand, or you can register to attend them live. Now we also have an online resource center. So if you see this little green graduation cap in the lower right corner of your Employer Center, this is always updated. Anytime we get any kind of product updates, we make changes, we have helpful videos. events and webinars, everything is stored in here. So you can always look through here for what you're looking for, and then you can click on this graduation cap to type in the search box. Again, if you don't find what you're looking for there and you're not finding it in the help center either, you actually can click this live chat button. So this little green live chat button will actually go to our support team. That is actually the team that I am on. So you'll always get a member of our team. As long as you see this live chat button, we are available to take your chat and we will help you out in any way that we can. And then, if this live chat button isn't here or it's off outside of office hours, and you want to send us an email, if you're in the help center down here below, you will see contact us, create a case. If you click on that, you'll get a form where you can fill out, all of your information and what your inquiry is or what your request is, and we will get back to you within 2 hours. So we do have a very awesome, fast 2 hour first time to respond. So you can always guarantee to get a response within those first 2 hours. And then also, if you don't want to send an email, you can always call us. So these are our business hours right here in US and UK, along with a US and UK phone number. We're always happy to help. If you again, if you want to look at the community guidelines, they're down here as well. If you want to look at the legal FAQs or there's anything else you want to look at, all that typically can be found in the help center. And again, if you still don't find what you're looking for, we do encourage you to reach out to us. We are always happy to help. So now that covers just about everything in our employer center. Thank you all so much for hanging there with me. And I know it was a lot of information and a high level overview, but we certainly appreciate it. But now I'm going to actually go ahead and transition this portion of the webinar over to the Q&A portion. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to a member of our webinar team who has been responding to those Q&A questions that are coming in, and we'll go ahead and answer some of those live now. Again, as a reminder, you can type any questions that you have into the Q&A functionality in Zoom. That's the platform that we're all viewing this webinar in today. Just go ahead and click Q&A, type in that question, and we'll respond to you either privately or we'll do it live here in just a moment. All right, so I'll go ahead and hand it off to the webinar team. Thanks so much.